Good evening and welcome to the news at 10 in our headlines this half hour. President Jammeh presides over the swearing-in ceremony of 2 new cabinet ministers at a ceremony held at the State House. Members of the What West African Chefs Can Do Association Gambia chapter extend gratitude to President Jammeh for his personal contribution to the advancement of the welfare of members. South African President Jacob Zuma agrees to meet university students who are protesting against the high cost of tuition fees. And authorities in India's mega city of New Delhi struggle to deal with huge smoke engulfing the city of millions of inhabitants. Well, these and other stories coming ahead this half hour. I'm WINFRED NICOL. Thanks for joining us once again. The general public is hereby informed that His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya A. J.J. Jammeh Babili Mansa, GMRG, FAAICL, is pleased to declare Saturday 24th October 2015 as public holiday throughout the Gambia in observance of Yomul Ashura, locally known as Tamharit. His Excellency the President and members of the First Family wish the entire Muslim Ummah a blessed Yomul Ashura. The newly appointed Ministers of Agriculture and Planning, Ismaila Sanyang and Burama Keba Sanyang respectively, have been sworn in this afternoon at State House at a ceremony attended by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya A. J.J. Jammeh Babili Mansa, the Vice President and other cabinet ministers. 3 other permanent secretaries at the Office of the President were also sworn in. Momodu Jallo reports. Well, that report by Momodu Jallo will come in our subsequent newscast. The Gambia Investment and Export Promotion Agency, GIPA, in collaboration with Enhanced Integrated Framework, EIF, project of the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment, has handed over a cashew apple processing machine to Balale Business Enterprise at a ceremony held at the Community Development Office in Birkama. The machine is made in the Gambia and by a Gambian. Aissatou Jatta reports.
Having recognized the importance of cashew product in the country's economic growth, GIPA found it necessary to engage players in the industry to improve its production and marketing. This is a very marketable product that, according to officials, required a viable export strategy. It is for this reason that GIPA and stakeholders met to discuss ways of transforming this sector for the benefit of all involved in the cashew value chain.
The creation of Balole is very dear to us at GIPA. Our department with the Enterprise Support Department, we are very excited to create these 2 businesses. Here in West Coast, it's Balole, and in North Bank, it is Don Bena. The reason for our excitement is because these businesses are catalysts. They are catalysts for change in the cashew sector.
The drive to ensure minimal post-harvest loss was one subject that nominated the speech delivered by the representative of the Governor of West Coast Region and the Ministry of Agriculture. Aissatou Jatta spoke of the need for the provision of adequate machines to help the farmers in improving their production capacity.
When we talk of cashew production, people have been using the cashew nuts, yes. People have been using the cashew fruits, but to a very, very little extent. So today, if this machine is here, to say that, okay, we're going to use this machine to process that fruit or the apple of the cashew into something different, adding value to that specific product in order to at least create what we call employment. It creates income or improves or increased income for those that are going to be involved in this.
For his part, the program coordinator, Enhanced Integrated Framework, said the objective of the program is to ensure that Gambia integrates into the global economy.
Since 2010, when the program was established at the Ministry of Trade, we have been supporting the cashew sector in various ways. In 2010-2011, we assisted the cashew sector in terms of training and the supply of about 5,000 seedlings that were distributed among the cashew stakeholders.
We are now starting to realize that cashew is not only the nuts that we should look after. The apple had been something that, what we normally do with it is that after taking out the nut, we just throw it out. We throw out the apple. We don't need the apple at all. Which means that it's only about 1/3 of the value of the cashew that we are using. But now that at the intervention of GIPA, now we have realized that we are losing almost about half the value of the cashew that we are producing.
For farmers to improve production and enhance the marketability of their products, Wandifa Drame told them we require them to make good use of the available opportunities at their disposal. GIPA's Export Development Manager explains the reason for this important partnership between his organization and the Enhanced Integrated Framework.
The reason why we accommodate you, because we want you to at least, our youth folk, so that you transfer the skills to those youths, so that this will be in line with the government drive, so that youth unemployment may be reduced. And then this is also part of the value chain as far as agriculture is concerned. We discover that many a times most of this produce, be it vegetables or these cashew fruits, they are usually waste. But having a facility like the machine is going to overcome those hurdles.
With the close of this forum, stakeholders in the cashew value chain are hopeful of injecting greater urgency in efforts to improve this vital sector. Aissatou Jatta, GRTS.
The Vice President, Her Excellency Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Seydi, Thursday received on behalf of the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya A.J.J. Jammeh Babili Mansa, 2 certificates from What West African Chefs Can Do Association. The association was established in May 2015 by the Gambia chapter, with over 4,000 members in South Africa and the Caribbean dealing in food. The association has the sole objective of promoting Gambian cuisine and the welfare of chefs, as well as promotes the teaching and learning of culinary art. The group was at the presidency to register their appreciation and gratitude to President Jammeh, who supported 5 members of the association to travel and participate in the 2nd annual Hospitality of All African People in Bizo exhibition of dishes and conference held in Johannesburg, South Africa, from the 23rd to the 27th September 2015. The ceremony was graced by the Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service and Minister responsible for Presidential Affairs, together with the Ministers of Health and Social Welfare and that of Tourism and Culture. Members of the National Assembly, Public Accounts and Public Enterprise Committees are attending their annual retreat ahead of the 2015-2016 PACPEC sessions. The committee's latest stock-taking conclave with stakeholders highlighted salient issues as well as upkeep of the body's recommended operations. Modu Bajan tells us more.
Charged with the oversight function of the Gambia's public institutions, the National Assembly Public Accounts and Public Enterprise Committee Wednesday unleashed a 2-day retreat in Banjul, spearheaded ahead of the 2015-2016 PACPEC sessions that will begin on the 2nd of November 2015. The Speaker of the National Assembly, who is equally the chairman of the PACPEC Committee, Honorable Abdoulaye Bojang, while hailing the efforts of government regarding the independent operation of the committee, also dilated on the significance of the PACPEC initiative.
It is only very prudent that as a responsible and responsive Parliament, and by extension, having a responsible and responsive government under the leadership of His Excellency, Sir Professor Alhaji Dr. Yaya Yame Babali Mansa, we are not to be complacent with our achievements so far, but to strive and resolve to do even better.
You have some public account reports that have been lying on the shelves in some countries for 10, 14 years. Nobody cares. It takes abundant goodwill and commitment for somebody to sit back and allow himself to be scrutinized. That's very rare. For us in the public accounts, we are motivated by the level of goodwill we receive from the executive, especially the President of the Republic of the Gambia. We have very innovative secretariat. We are exposed also to various best practices. So if you have all these things in place, you apply them, definitely you're going to succeed.
Honorable Bojang continued on the PACPEC team's positive achievements under the stewardship of His Excellency President Jammeh, but without urging his colleagues to be even more determined for greater PACPEC results regarding the scrutiny of state institutions.
The government of the Gambia has created the enabling environment to perform lawful and routine oversight over the executive, public enterprises, agencies, public services, and anything of public interest. It is therefore no accident that the Gambian people's high expectations from us are well-founded and not misplaced. For us to continue to earn the moral support and respect of our government and our people, and even the international community.
Speaker Bojang's statements were to a great deal re-echoed by Honorable Fabakary Tombong Jatta, who maintained that regardless of not being witch hunters, there will not be sacred cows regarding PACPEC activities.
We know that as human beings we make mistakes, but there are also people who calculatedly, deliberately go to do things bad. As Parliament, we want to work with the various institutions to add value, to see how we can overcome our challenges. That's the main purpose. It's not to find out who is guilty of a crime or anything like that. We are aware that now institutions are more cautious, more careful, because the President himself said that there are no sacred cows. If you are entrusted with the responsibility to manage public funds, you should be accountable.
It is also documented that you are the only parliament in the world who takes itself to the people for a proper social audit, independent of anybody. And the Parliamentary Center wants to come and see how this is done so that they copy it, and with the help of the African Development Bank, they want other parliaments to copy you.
Described at home and abroad as one of a kind in relation to its oversight functions of in-depth scrutiny of state institutions, the National Assembly's PACPEC Committee's ongoing recommendations perhaps call for more interventions, including initiatives such as this stock-taking retreat. Modu Bajan reporting for GRTS News.
The Independent Electoral Commission has held the nomination process for aspiring candidates for the Buyam Council Ward elections. The ruling Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction chosen candidate for the councillorship contest, Esa Bojang, went through the process smoothly. Rohibite was there and she filed in this report.
Having presented his credentials as the APRC candidate for the vacant councillor seat of Biam Ward, and after going through the necessary processes, Ensa Bojang's nomination bid was given a clean bill of health.
I'm Sham, returning officer, Brikama Administrative Area for November 2015 council by-election, hereby certify that Mr. Esa Bojang's nomination papers are in order and that he is eligible to contest in the November 2015 council by-election. So congratulations, Mr. Bojang.
Bojang was accompanied to nomination grounds by APRC party bigwigs, who spoke and endorsed their flag bearer.
APRC, we don't take criminals to be our candidates. We take honest people to serve our party and the people of this country. This is why his credentials were well taken, and there was nothing to look at that would show that he will not be qualified to contest.
I would want to thank His Excellency the President, Chief Professor Dr. Alhaji AJJ Jammeh, who also doubles as the APRC party chairman, Babili Mansa, for accepting the nomination of Mr. Esa Bojang to represent the APRC in the forthcoming by-election for the Buyam Ward constituency. After having thanked His Excellency the President, I would want to thank the Ward Committee for a job well done. Because when Esa Bojang's nomination came up at the level of the Ward Committee, there was no argument. It was unanimously agreed and he emerged as the winner.
There is no retreat and no surrender. The president is from this greatest region, and we are proud of him, and we shall always make him proud and happy. We will be one, always behind him. We don't mind anybody coming to oppose us, but we know they will never make a headway. For the grassroots, it's already nobody's but President Jammeh's and the greatest party, APRC.
For Esa Bojang, this was a happy moment for him and the party. He praised his party officials for the support. The ruling party-nominated candidate spoke about his confidence in carrying out his duties.
I can assure everybody that with the support of APRC and everybody, what I learned from my ward is very clear. That everybody is behind me, and you can, if you see the turnout, has shown. That, and I'm sure there will be nobody to contest against me.
It's a big day for me and a very enjoyable day for me and my district down there, because they are eager to see us back. We jubilated and then we dance and then enjoy. That's the day for us today.
Among the multitude of party faithful who turned out for the colorful event was the party women's wing, ably led by the National Women Mobilizer.
Women's support are always there because the women will not see us to be failed. That is why if you come for this region, West Coast region, all the women are supporting us in the grace of Almighty Allah.
The nomination was not only graced by people of the West Coast region, but party militants from the Greater Banjul area and beyond.
APRC is one family. It doesn't mean I'm coming from Banjul and this is the West Coast. Wherever we gathered, driving the same purpose, our political agenda, we are all supposed to be around if we have time. And I have time to come, so I have to come and support them. It's my party.
Among those that expressed their joy at the nomination of Esa Bojang as councillor for Biam Ward were Chief of Foni Councillor Mohamed Lamin Jaju, Mariama Bassain, Vice Chair, Birkama Area Council, Alhaji Sekou Omar Sane, APRC Youth Mobilizer, and a host of others. They all hailed the President and the party militants for the support while expressing happiness about the unity that exists among them. Nomination was open until 4, and after the close of process, IEC officials confirmed the nomination of Esa Bojang of the APRC as the only APRC,
Meanwhile, in accordance with Section 42 and 52 of the Elections Act, Mr. Esa Bojang got duly nominated through the APRC party to contest for the position of councillor for the Buyam Ward on the 22nd day of October 2015. Consequently, an election will not take place since he was the only candidate nominated at the close of nomination. Therefore, in accordance with Section 53, subsection 1A and B of the same Act, hereby declare that Mr. Esa Bojang has been duly elected councillor for Buyam Ward in the Birkama Area Council. Dozens of the differently abled children from St. John's School for the Deaf, Govi, and the Methodist Special recently received a 2-day induction seminar on child rights and advocacy. The goal is to prepare them as advocacy tools for their fellows on child rights. Fatou Janembai has more on the seminar championed by young people in the media.
Association of Young People in the Media are custodians of the belief what can contribute meaningfully to society. Reasons and others that led to the organization of this capacity building on child rights and advocacy for dozens of them from St. John's School for the Deaf, Govi and Methodist Special. The goal is to use them as future advocates for their peers.
If you look at advocacy, most youth organizations during their advocacy, they focus on people who are able. That is on children who are going to school, who are normal, who can hear, who can speak, who can see, who can walk. People who are normal. That's who we focus on. Not knowing, or sometimes because of ignorance, we don't know that especially children are the ones who need our help the most. And they're the ones who can help us send messages to other people. Because if we're only focusing on those who are able, those who are differently able will not get our message. Which is why it's important that we train them and ask them to also advocate to their friends, to their colleagues, to those who are like them.
To further justify the differently able are gifted, Eric refers to the case of one student called Binta.
I always like to use Aya Binta as an example. Last year when we went to Manchakonko, she made a very, 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 very impressive video. It was just 1 minute, it was just 60 seconds, but it was sending a very powerful message. And that alone is an example of what they are capable of.
Bakari Baji, who worked with the differently able children for a good number of years, said this group of people has a lot to offer to society and should not allow the odd section of society that sees them differently.
Having worked with quite a number of young people who have some form of what we call disability or have some physical challenge, I mean, we know that sometimes they're able to do or say things that others are unable to do. Now, if you look at our trend right now, that there are quite a number of people who have been to university and have graduated, and there are people that we call disabled people or people living with some disability.
The seminar on the promotion and advocacy on child rights among children with disability only emphasized the premium the young people in the media and stakeholders place on the differently able children as a global issue.
There has been a convention on the rights of persons with disability. Now, that convention was ratified in the Gambia in 2013 by the government of the Gambia, and that is because the states, and when I say the state, I mean both central government and all the other stakeholders, recognizes the importance of this special group of people.
Disability globally is on the rise, as Gabu Jaju, the head of disability at the Department of Social Welfare, maintained a good number of them are unfortunate to go to school.
Children like you, and a lot of these ones may not even be fortunate to go to school like you are doing. A lot of them will be found in the streets of the world, car parks, railway stations, bus stops, and so on, marketplaces, doing odd jobs to earn a living when they are supposed to be in school. And so we should be very careful. We should be very attentive to this workshop and take it seriously. As he said, that we will be able to by tomorrow disseminate the information and help our friends out there.
This is an opportunity for you, the special schools. Questions, whatever you do not know, they are here to enlighten you and teach you how to do it and also for you to understand.
In Africa, tradition is blamed as one of the causes of disability. Reporting for Grts News, I am Fatou Janembai.
That report by Fatou Janembai takes us to a first break, but we'll be back with news from outside the Gambia. Don't go away. Welcome back. The South African President Jacob Zuma said he will meet with the university student leaders on Friday after protesters stormed Parliament grounds. The protesters shut more than a dozen universities across the country. Students are using the hashtag #FeesMustFall at a rally to share experiences on social media. Here is the latest from Johannesburg.
More
protests are planned, and certainly we were out on the streets here in Johannesburg. The latest university join is Johannesburg's biggest university, and that means, as you say, more than a dozen universities shut down. Protests throughout the country today. It's been quite incredible, the amount of mobilization the students have got together, as you say, mostly communicating on social media with the Fees Must Fall's hashtag. They are often leaderless, certainly want the fees to be dropped or eradicated altogether. And this is all around the proposed fee hikes at many universities, which many students said was unaffordable. You know, people on the street I've been talking to, these students say this is their fight, this is their moment to really gather together, and what they say is fight the system. And more than 20 years into South Africa's democracy, it's certainly unprecedented, this level of student protests here in South Africa. Christine?
Yeah, what more can you tell us about these student protesters? They are angry, they're very well mobilized online and in the real world. They managed to score this meeting with the president. Who are they, and just how well organized are they?
Well, they're very well organized in terms of gathering together. Whether they can push their agenda forward is certainly the next test. But it seems like this anger has shifted somewhat. At first it was towards university administrations. Now what I'm hearing from the protesters on the street is that it's also targeting the government itself, because many complain within universities that a small portion, maybe sometimes 20% of their finances are funded by the government, and the rest is by fees and donations. And so many of them said, well, if they up the fees, students won't even get in the door. They won't be able to pay the registration fees to get into university. They say they are South Africa's next generation of leaders. They need to be paid attention to. And as you said, President Jacob Zuma saying that he will meet with both students and administrators on Friday at the seat of government here in South Africa. That's a powerful statement in and of itself. And while the ANC-led government here seems to be trying to co-opt the protests and say they agree with the protesters, some are saying they came into this so late that they really don't have the moral authority to do that. But they do appeal for calm, and they say they want a negotiated solution. But on Friday we could see massive protests here in the Johannesburg-Pretoria region.
We take our second break now. The weather report is next. Welcome back. We now join the Central Focus Office for the day's weather outlook.
From the Central Focus Office, but first we will begin with a summary of the day's outlook, and we experience variably cloudy and humid atmospheric conditions in the morning, and thereafter in the afternoon there has been some rain showers plus thunderstorm over most parts of the country. And over now to the rainfall figures, and there has been some heavy downpour over most parts of the country, and you can see 16.0 over Yindum, 4.8 over Karawan, 3.5 over Sibano, 1.1 over Ginoy, and 0.5 over Sapo. We now move on to the satellite image, where we can see some thundery, rainy and lightning activities going on around Central and Eastern Africa, and also over the Senegambia region. Now tonight we're expecting variably cloudy with fairly warm and humid atmospheric conditions plus thunderstorms, and this will be especially over the eastern sector. And for tomorrow we're expecting variably cloudy and humid conditions with thunderstorms and rain showers, and thereafter becoming partly cloudy in the afternoon. Now during this period, wind flows will be variable, and they will be running at a speed of 5 to 10 kilometers per hour. Minimum temperatures will be 23 degrees Celsius over Greater Banjul, Lower River, Central River and Upper River region, whereas North Bank and West Coast will record 24 degrees Celsius respectively, and this will go up to a maximum of 34 degrees Celsius over Upper River and Central River, and you can see 33 degrees Celsius over Lower River, North Bank, West Coast, and thereafter 32 degrees Celsius over Greater Banjul areas respectively. Now at 12 a.m. we'll have a low tide of 0.4 meter and a high tide of 1.5 meter at 6 a.m. and at 7 p.m. we'll have a high tide as well of 1.4 meters respectively. Wave heights will be 0 to 1 meter high, and they will be northwesterly swells. The sun will rise at 6:58 and sets at 18:43 That's the outlook, and a good night.
And from that weather update by Fatoumata Sise, a quick recap of our headline-making stories. President Jammeh has presided over the swearing-in ceremony of 2 new cabinet ministers at a ceremony held at the State House. Members of the What West African Chefs Can Do Association Gambia chapter extend gratitude to President Jammeh for his personal contribution to the advancement of the welfare of members. South African President Jacob Zuma has agreed to meet university students who are protesting against high cost of tuition fees. And authorities in India's mega city of New Delhi are struggling to deal with huge smoke engulfing the city of millions of inhabitants. Well, that was all in this edition of the News at 10. From me, WINFRED, NICOL, and the entire news team, thanks for being there. Enjoy the rest of our programs.